The webinar is how to study ICB bookkeeping from home. And just to give you an idea of what we're going to discuss today, on today's webinar, shortly we'll hand over to Peter Stewart from the Institute of Certified Bookkeepers, who will take you through all things ICB, take through the qualifications and give you an idea of what you can do at each level and much more besides, I'm sure. Then when Peter's finished his section of the presentation, he'll hand back over to me. My name's Stephen. I'm from TrainLink, and this is Gary. Yeah, after our section of the presentation, we'll then have a chat with two of our students who were joined today by Veronica and Julie, who've both studied with TrainLink. And then after that, if you've got any questions at all, I'd ask you to add those to the Q&A section of Zoom, and we'll go through those at near the end of the webinar. And then after that, if you stick around, there's an exclusive special offer which we'll take you through a little bit later on.
Great to have a chance to have a conversation with people about what ICB does, and to work with TrainLink to see how we can make as many of you successful in studying for and achieving the ICB qualification as possible. Now, just a little background on myself. So my name is Peter Stewart. I am the Director of Learning at ICB. That means that I look after what's in our syllabus and how we assess it, i.e. the exams. My own CV sort of kicks off with me training as a chartered accountant in an accountancy firm deep in the middle of last century, after which I very quickly moved over into the field of education, training people to become chartered accountants, management accountants, certified accountants, accounting technicians, all under various different qualifications. So I've got a broad range of experience in dealing with syllabuses and exams. What I would say at the top of the shop about ICB's qualification is that of all of those ones that I mentioned, ICB's is the one that has the clearest focus and the clearest purpose, linking what you're learning with what you will do in the job of work that you're doing. So just for comparison with my own training, I did exams in accountancy, I did exams in taxation, in audit, in management accounting, in financial management. And my career, although I went straight into teaching, none of my cohort careers needed all of that learning to do what they did. So they tend to cover a lot more ground than is relevant to the individual in the career. The bookkeeping qualification, the ICB qualification, as it focuses on that career, the career of a bookkeeper. So let me try and talk you through what that career looks like. So our qualification is driven by the job that bookkeepers, or the jobs that bookkeepers will do, the tasks that they will perform, and the relationship that they will have either with employers or with clients. An awful lot of bookkeepers have a career which they manage themselves. They're either self-employed or they work in a small practice. They like the flexibility of not having to start until the kids are at school and being able to stop when they want to go and collect the kids back from school, or to have whatever other reasons they have for wanting that flexibility, doing the hours in the week in whichever week they want to do them, and so on. So what does a bookkeeper do? What can a bookkeeper do? Recording all the transactions. So you might be working with a small business, the local, I don't know, the local hairdressers, the local corner shop, And of course, they've got purchases and they've got sales that they make, and they need to classify all those purchases and sales and expenses so that they've got a good book of accounts. We are unique in the field of accountancy and bookkeeping in recognizing that this is done for most businesses using a commercial software package, and our bookkeepers have to demonstrate competence in using commercial bookkeeping packages, software packages to fulfill the roles that they'll do. There's a bit of accounting in there, period end adjustments. There's making sure that all the transactions are completed properly, the payments, the receipts, banking, making sure that what's in the bank account is supposed to be in the bank account, etc. We cover different types of business entity. By that I mean not the business that they're on. I don't mean the difference between your corner shop and a hairdresser's and a plumber. It's to do with whether you've established yourself as a sole trader, whether you're in partnership with someone else, whether you've formed a small limited company. And we also look at businesses that are not for profit, so clubs and trusts, like school academy trusts, charities, and so on. Compliance with HMRC is a hugely important part of the role that we'll fulfill. That doesn't mean that we are making you a tax expert. There are qualifications that I'll mention that can take you down that route, but there's just there's some of the filing of reports like your VAT returns, and coming down the pipeline, we've got Making Tax Digital, where all these small businesses, the sole traders and the partnerships, are going to move into a new world of reporting what their transactions are so that the taxman is informed of what's going on with that business. Year-end financial statements get produced. The bookkeeper has an intimate knowledge of the business and should be able to say to the non-financial person, what does that mean for you? If you're a plumber, what does it mean in terms of your position of liquidity, profitability, and so on? And underpinning all of that, we have got a code of professional standards and ethics, which our members, and to be fair, members of all professional accounting bodies, have to abide by and are expected to demonstrate. We have a two-tier syllabus, two-level syllabus. The first one, level 2, will grant you a designation or allow you to use a designation AICB, so an associate member of the Institute. And as you continue through the core qualification, then that will entitle you to use the MICB, member of the Institute designation. The level 2, we split those I can statements. The level 2 is very much about recording the transactions, making sure that transactions go through, the banking, ensuring the accuracy, and using the bookkeeping software accurately, completely, fully. All of which has the ethical and professional standards below that. So that would be like if you had your local plumber who said, can you do the books for me? In the olden days, what would happen is they'd come with a shoebox full of invoices that they've made, bills that they've received, receipts from purchases that they've made. They'd hand that over and say, could you make some sense of that, please? That's what the associate bookkeeper will do. We test it in 3 stages just to make sure that step by step you're learning comfortably. We don't present too much in one go and say, right, there's everything, deal with it all. 2 of the exams, A1 and A2, are objectively tested exams, computer-based exams, asking you, what would you do with this invoice? How would you treat that bill? What would you do with that expense? Where would you put it in? And then the third exam is as a mini project, if you like, where we give you a batch of transactions that a business has had and said, right, set up the record in your bookkeeping software, record these transactions, and tell us what the business looks like at the end of the accounting period. So a very practical exam there. As I mentioned, the computer-based exams, objective test questions, we test on demand, which means you, if you're doing these exams, you can do them at a time and a place of your choosing. Many people do them over the weekend, some people do them in the evening, some people block out a day and do it on a Friday morning, whenever. It's no skin off our nose as to where and when you do that. The scenario-based project with the software, same thing, do it where and when you want it, but because it's like a desk task that you might have as a practicing bookkeeper, we give you longer to complete that. It's not a 2-hour test of knowledge. It's as if you had received all these invoices and information, and you've got to go away and you return it the following day with completed reports. All of these exams are open book because as a practicing bookkeeper, we trust that you will rely on external resources to double check that you're doing things correctly. So you can use those resources during the exams. That might involve going over to the HMRC website to check that you've got the right classification of VAT for an expense that the business has incurred. Once you've gone through that, that's the fundamental recording of the transactions. Level 3 moves you on to say, well, now that we've recorded those transactions, how do we turn them into accounts? So there's various accounting adjustments that you might have to do. You might be familiar with the phrases of accruals or prepayments, depreciation, those sorts of things. They don't result from an invoice or a bill or a receipt, but accounting principles say you need to consider them and incorporate them into your records. The HMRC, as I mentioned, the bookkeepers will manage or make sure that the business is submitting its VAT returns if it's obliged to do so. And as I said, coming down the pipeline, we've got MTD, Making Tax Digital, for sole traders and partners and property owners who earn above a certain amount of gross revenue. They are obliged to submit quarterly returns of their transactions. And that is a bookkeeping task. It's not a tax. I know there's a big T in the middle that stands for tax, but it's not a tax exercise. It's a bookkeeping exercise. So businesses will be looking to bookkeepers to do this, and ICB will make sure that you have the knowledge and the skills that you need to be able to do that. The exams in level 3 is currently 4+1 is written down there. 4 of them which require acquisition and demonstration of knowledge. So, understanding about these accruals, prepayments, depreciation, provisions, and so on. And then for all 4 of them, it's to look at the different types of business that there might be: sole traders, partnerships, not-for-profit organizations, and limited companies, and understanding the different reporting requirements for those businesses to say that based on this set of transactions, how do the accounts look for each type of business? So there's 4 there where you learn about the different types of business and the accounting adjustments that you make for each to get to the final exams. They are all open book objective test questions. Bear in mind, objective test does not mean multiple choice. Multiple choice is an objective test style question. We include those. But if I ask you, what is the square root of 64? That's an objective test question. It has a single answer, And we have questions, not mathematics questions, but we have questions where there's a cell for you to enter a number that says, what is the value of this expense, or whatever it may be. And there's only one correct answer in there. So you type in the numbers, and the computer will identify whether or not you've typed in the correct number. So they're all M4, M5, M6, M7 are 4 sort of new knowledge exams. They're all objective tests, they're all on demand, and they're all open book. The exception to that is M8, which I've written there as being a synoptic exam. What that is just a roundup. At the end of those 4 exams, there's a certain amount of knowledge that we would expect all bookkeepers to be confident with, to be able to relay information, do transactions, do records, do accounts. So we have this final exam, which is invigilated, but it's invigilated using the technology. So we'll have the webcam. You'll share the screen that you're doing the exam on, and you'll use your either your smartphone or a tablet as a camera in the corner of the room, just making sure that you don't have somebody else in the room with you telling you what the answers are and so on. So it's closed book. It's a more conventional way of examining, I think, compared to what you're likely to be used to, whether it's school or other professional bodies. So yeah, closed book. I say this is the deemed knowledge that we've got in there, and that gives us the confidence that we can confer the MICB designation on you and allow you into membership, and quite frankly, let you loose on the waiting world to be a practicing bookkeeper. So I've kind of described what the questions might be like. They're all practical questions. We don't have sort of academic theory or things that will not be, you won't encounter through your working day. It's a high passing standard because we are going to let you loose on the world. We want to be certain that you have a strong competence of 85%, which is supported by the open book allowance, say that you must get 85% of those objective test questions right. It's different in the synoptic exam. That comes down to 70% because of the separate conditions, the different conditions. And although 85% as a passing standard is a bit of a terrifying hurdle, what what I can say is that when you're supported by a training program, such as that given by Training Link, and they might be comfortable to talk in more detail specifically about their pass rate, but well over 90% of people who take advantage of Training Link, their tutors, their material, and preparation for the exams, well over 90% pass those exams first time. So don't be put off by that 85% scary number. Very, very quickly, once you're a qualified bookkeeper, or independently of being a qualified bookkeeper, you could move on to take other qualifications we do. The one that's independent is the payroll management. We've got a lot of people who work in payroll for a business, and if any of you have ever been in a place of employment and you check your pay slip and you wonder whether it's quite right about your pension deductions or about your national insurance or whatever it is, what you really need to check is whether the people doing your payroll have got some form of qualification in doing so. They rely on software to a large degree, but the diploma in payroll management really supports people to understand what it is that they're doing with their employees' payroll. So that's a sort of standalone, completely standalone qualification. The advanced diploma certificates are a higher level for people who are members of the Institute to move on and take, to see if they can broaden the offering that they can give to employers or to clients. So self-assessment tax, and the same people who will be affected by the Making Tax Digital thing. So many small businesses are limited companies now. There is the financial statements, so going from the draft accounts to filing financial statements with Company House for those businesses. If you've done the draft accounts, why not move on and actually just provide a complete service. Oh, and then associated to that complete service is the corporation tax that they're likely to do. So those three are all about regulation, rules, and so on. The business insight is more how you can be a partner to your client, offering insight on what the accounts show. There's one job which is just to produce accounts, and that's all rules based. Business insight allows you or encourages you to look into the figures and the assets and liabilities and all these things that happen in the accounts, and to say to the business, look, maybe you could do better. You could improve your profit by doing this. If you need to decide between option A and option B, I can do a financial analysis on that for you. So business insight is a tool which, again, can help you expand the business that you make. So that's what ICB is about. It's about supporting individuals develop their career and to have a fulfilling career and be great partners supporting the many, many, many small businesses that keep our economy going. So look, thank you very much, Gary and Stephen, for your time to allow me to say this. I hope I've not taken up too much. And there's an email there for anyone who wants to ask any questions directly to us. I know it doesn't sound very personal to not have my name on it, but there's a team of us who would get back to you with any queries that you might have about the qualification or a career in bookkeeping. So let me stop there and hand back to Stephen.
Fantastic stuff. Thank you very much for that, Peter.
Thank you.
Right, share my screen again. Right, so who are Training Link? Well, we've been around since 1996, wasn't it? So, yep, 29 years we've been providing distance learning, and we're subject area specialists. So we only provide accounting, bookkeeping, and payroll courses. And we think that because we've got a niche approach, it helps us keep focused on creating materials and delivering support of the highest possible quality. There's quite a few different distance learning providers around, and some of them do hundreds of different courses. That's just not our approach. We much prefer to just focus on our niche. And we think that the concentrated focus that we've got gives us a very big advantage, and that's control over quality. We've got 100% control over all of our learning materials. There's no third-party content. Our books, the tests, the additional resources, the videos, they all work together to offer a seamless, cohesive learning experience. And what I mean by that is it's perfectly possible for some courses to be based on externally written materials, and the training provider might just provide support for that. My question for that is, well, how are you going to improve the material if you don't control the material that is going out to students? So if we get some exam feedback and we sense that maybe there's a unit or an exam where we want to nudge that pass rate higher, we're able to do that because we wrote all the material. And I think that's one of the major reasons that we're as successful working with students as we are. So our courses are designed to give you the best possible chance of gaining your qualification. But it's not about just passing the exams, although obviously that's absolutely vital. We're here to make sure that you can do the job, that the processes and everything that comes with being a bookkeeper, you've had that much practical experience that the knowledge and the skills are deeply embedded, and you're ready to do the job. You're ready to start your own bookkeeping practice by the end of your study journey. And TrainLink has got a very proud history of helping many students become freelance bookkeepers. And we've been very, very widely recognised because of that. We've won over 20 awards, including ICB's Large Training Provider of the Year 12 times, ICB Tutor of the Year 4 times, but we've got more award winners in the building, haven't we?
Yeah, I mean, well, actually, yes, in the building and out of the building, there are two people that retired about 3 years ago that had both won the ICB Tutor of the Year award, and we also have other people that have joined us later on who won their awards when they were working with a different training provider. So, yeah, in total, we seem to have quite a record for having award-winning tutors, if you like, that want to work for an award-winning training provider. But
Exactly.
just going back over what Stephen was saying there about having control over the materials and writing our own, and also being, if you like, specific about the subjects that we cover. It allows us to only bring into this building subject matter experts. In other words, not just general teachers and tutors. They are people who, by speciality, only support and teach and write for this, this particular qualification, if you like. So it's generally bookkeeping, accounting, and payroll. So we are very, very fortunate, and I suppose because we've got that right over the years, it's enabled us to win so many of the training provider awards. So we all help each other in that way.
Okay, so why study online? You're in charge. You dictate the pace of your progression. And that means if you need to fast track what you're doing, you can. If you prefer to study only at weekends, that's fine. And if you can't stick to the same rigidly scheduled days, this works too. The point of studying online is that it is completely flexible. I think it's important that you develop a study plan and things like that to try and keep your motivation high and things like that. But the flexibility is what appeals to the vast majority of our students. And like I say, we've got many examples of students that absolutely race through what they're doing.
Yeah.
Phenomenal amounts of work in very short spaces of time.
Very recently, yeah. Level 2 and 3 in 3 months.
And we've got the reverse of that. We've got examples of
level
people
2 and 3 in 6 years.
we've got examples of where people need the time and they need to take their time, and that's perfectly okay. We'll support you all the way.
We do encourage people to just set that goal, though. Because at the end of the day, you say, okay, you're starting on this journey. You've decided you want to be a bookkeeper or a payroll administrator or whatever. Well, you have to kind of say, well, do you really want to be do you want to be doing that in 6 years' time? Or is it best actually, the faster I get this done, because I've got the flexibility to be able to do that, the faster I can start applying for jobs or setting up my business or whatever it may be. Generally speaking, the people who fall by the wayside, if you like, or fall off, like I said, they're 6 years, it's quite true. That if I delve through, I'll probably find some took longer than that. It's because life got in the way. And sometimes when life gets in the way, it's hard to get back on track with your studies. So it really is good to keep that focus. And by being in touch with us and staying in touch with us, we can help you maintain that focus as well. But yeah, it just goes to show that it can be done by putting the effort in. You can do level 2 and 3, and it's not just one person that's done this in 3 months. Great. They're applying for jobs or starting your bookkeeping practice after 3 months of hard studying. It's certainly the one that's proven over the years to be the best approach. Try and get into it, get it done as quickly as you possibly can.
Okay, and your study experience. It includes Training Link's printed study materials with lessons and examples, practical hands-on activities to ensure you have knowledge and skills. Again, that goes back to the point I made earlier on. It's about making sure that you are ready to do that job, that knowledge is firmly embedded in your brain. And it obviously includes award-winning tutor support from full-time tutors, by email and phone. You won't find any part-time tutors at Training Link that are maybe, practicing bookkeepers and also offering tutor support on the side. Everyone here is full-time. And we've got a lot of online resources to help you fast-track your studies, including ebooks, assignments, tests, mock exams, and a lot of professionally produced and edited videos that we spent. How many years have we been working on them now? 3 or 4 years at this point.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of video content in there, which appeals to some people, but not necessarily everyone needs videos. But they're there if you want them.
Yeah, it's just there. It was a demand thing, really. Probably about 5-6 years ago, that some. Obviously, the web has evolved now. Everything's so easily accessible that people are starting to ask for videos. So we thought, well, okay, we know that what we've been doing all these years works anyway. We don't really need videos because it works without it. But if someone's got it in their heads that they feel they need to have videos in order to conquer this subject, then we thought, well, we better do them then. So yeah, we're actually sitting in the recording room now, actually. So the seat was warm when I came in.
I think people that use them tend to find it breaks their studies up a little bit.
Yeah, it gives them
mixes things
you
up.
can, yeah, you can watch a video while you're on the train
Yeah.
or whatever. You know, while there's a boring film on TV or something, that you can carry on doing a little bit of studying.
Exactly. And your studying experience also includes 24/7 assignment marking with instant results and personal tutor feedback. A student services department that's open 7 days a week. And everything you need is included, no add-ons needed. There's no add-on reference material fees and no extra resource fees. And it also includes access to Student Street. Now, Student Street is our peer-to-peer support group. And we talked about developing an app, but in the end, I think the obvious place for it is Facebook, because most people have got Facebook access. And in there, you'll be able to talk to other students, talk with tutors, and there's currently over 5,500 members of Student Street. So, as soon as this webinar is over, hopefully we'll have another few people be looking to join.
As soon as you sign up, you actually get an invite to go along there and join the group. You don't have to. It's not for everyone, but it does work well. You can chum up with people in there doing the same course, even on the same units as you.
Yeah.
Or at times just, sit back and read what other people are saying. You don't necessarily have to fully engage in it. It's there for it, to use whichever way you wish.
And pass rates. Now, we've talked about the books, we've talked about the additional resources and the videos and all the things that we put into each TrainLink ICB course. And we think that, we've mentioned how it leads to a coherent study experience, and the proof is in the pass rates. At level 2 bookkeeping, we've currently got a 90% pass rate from 373 assessments taken in the last calendar year. And level 3 bookkeeping, it's currently 92% from 405 assessments taken. And when it comes to student feedback, we'd really encourage you to take a look at Trustpilot and FIFO profiles. I think what I'd like to point out is a lot of our reviews tend to be much more detailed. You won't find single line reviews that talk about, great product, arrive quickly or something like that, because a lot of companies these days do tend to invite reviews at the point of purchase.
Yeah, the man on the phone was very nice. He told me which course to go on.
Yeah,
and it arrived next day.
Exactly, which is completely pointless, but it gives a lot of companies a very firm 5-star average. We don't do that. We request reviews when people have, maybe
part of the way through the journey.
Yeah. So you'll notice that a lot of the reviews tend to be much more detailed about their experience rather than how quickly it arrived through the door. And last year we won the Platinum Trusted Service Award from FIFO. And our student success section is worth reading as well, because you'll find some very detailed study journeys and videos of previous TrainLink students. Right. At this point, I'd love to bring our two students to have a chat with us. So we've got Veronica and Julie. Guys, if you can unmute yourselves and put yourselves on webcam. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And let's have a quick chat about your study journey. So hi Veronica.
Hello.
Hi. How are you today?
All good. All good. Thank you.
Good. So can you give me an idea what made you want to study bookkeeping?
I came to bookkeeping sort of through the sides. I'm a musician and I've been teaching piano for over 30 years. But when I got married, I started helping my husband with his business and doing the admin and working with my accountant and getting things ready for him to basically do our tax return. But I learned bookkeeping sort of on the side while I was teaching. And then my son also was old enough to start his own business, and he wanted a bit more help. And that's when I realized I need to know more than just whatever I had learned on my own. And I looked into basically getting a course that will give me the qualifications to help him. And so that's how I ran into Training Link. And to be honest, I had a bit of a didn't have much of an understanding what was the difference between an accountant and a bookkeeping. So which way to go? And it was helpful when I did the first sort of, I think it was a free course, and then I had a chat with a tutor to understand really what it was about and what would be best for me. And then I realized that actually bookkeeping is what I really wanted to do. And that's how I ran into Training Link and then ICB. I wanted to join a body that was really about bookkeepers and to help me understand that. So that's how I got in.
Okay. Julie, the same question to you really. So what got you into studying bookkeeping?
So I've always had a really strong financial focus to them, even when I was in my employment. So I was a legal assistant in a solicitor's, but did a lot of work with the solicitor's accounts. I was head of operations in an accountant. So even though I had a really good overview in running a business, when I first set up as self-employed, what I really wanted to make sure I had was a really strong fundamental understanding of what was actually needed in the day-to-day financials. That practical, actual day-to-day, what is needed in order for a business record to be kept correctly was really important. I wanted to make sure that when I was advising people, I was giving them the best possible advice that I could.
Okay. How do, what made you choose ICB?
So obviously, like Veronica said, that the difference between a bookkeeper and an accountant is it's getting smaller and smaller every day, especially with the advanced qualifications. But I knew that what I didn't want to become was an accountant who was going to work and employed in practice, because that wasn't going to best serve my clients. What I wanted that actual deep fundamental knowledge of what needed to be done. And when it comes to looking between bookkeepers and accountants, it was bookkeeping that had that deeper look into the actual practical steps and systems and processes that were going to be needed.
Okay. Okay. So how did you find Training Link? What made you choose to do with this?
I was looking at the differences. Obviously, when I was looking at the differences and I decided that the bookkeeping route was going to be most practical, I looked at all of the things like the reviews online to see experiences of students previously. I knew that I wanted to learn online, remotely, at my own pace. I knew that from my personal learning perspective, what worked really well for me is written material. So knowing that I was going to have comprehensive written material that was supported by tutor feedback if I needed it, rather than sitting through a scheduled hourly, weekly webinar with somebody that was going to talk at me, I was never going to learn that way. So seeing that Training Link had those materials that were going to work, that I could do the journey in my own time, which meant I could flex my studying between obviously client commitments and other external things, was really, really important to me. And then the icing on the cake was everything being bundled into what is needed for a self-employed journey, rather than having to pick and choose which qualifications I was going to need, going, this is what you're going to need. These are all the ones you're going to need. Have these ones. Lovely.
Okay. Okay. Veronica, what did you find that you work better from the books? Because we do tend to, it's always interesting to hear from students about, what their kind of preference is in terms of, do you prefer studying in the online portal? Do you get more from the video content? Or, are you somebody that really like to just crack open the book and study that way?
I really enjoy the material, actually. I think the books are very, very comprehensive. And the videos you mentioned, I found them very helpful. And what I like is, like Julie to say, to be able to study at my own pace when I did it. And I found it very helpful. I realized I didn't need as much tutor support as I thought I did, because I can always find the answers in the books, or you have also in the portal different sections with extra help, and the videos are those. So I found those very, very helpful.
Yeah, a lot of people are quite surprised at what we've actually got in that online portal.
Yeah.
We built up over a period of so many years that again, what Stephen said earlier on about, we can identify areas that maybe students might find a little more difficult to understand. So we can rewrite extra practice sections and things of that sort. And it's actually something that I'll be talking about a little bit more later on, because most people are actually really surprised at just how much is in there on top of what you get with the books as well.
Yeah.
And all the exams that you have there, that you can go back and you have a history of all your exams and you can check on the exams. And I found that helpful when I was reviewing for my M8, for example, to go through those.
Some people find it quite motivating that you can do these tests online. They're marked instantly. And if you're passing them, you think, oh, I want to do more. I want to do more. And as you say, you get some feedback in there, so you can always retake it again. Because you think, oh, I knew that question. I just wasn't thinking straight. So you get a couple of goes at it to pass it. Because once you pass it, the other part opens up. You just carry on then. And yeah, a lot of people find that quite motivating. I think I was only going to do an hour's study, but I ended up doing 6 hours because I was enjoying it so much. I was progressing so well. Yeah.
Julie, do you find that do you have much experience of communicating with your tutor?
So I did need to be my tutor on a few occasions. They were always really responsive and really helpful. One of the things that I found most useful was to actually identify when simply just giving me the answer and the work into that wasn't going to be what I needed. What I needed was a bit more guidance around the process and another opportunity to find the answer myself before they would just give it to me. So they were really responsive and intuitive. I didn't have any occasions where I had to wait a long time, and I'm really impatient. Like,
that's
I've
kind
asked
of
a
a little
question,
bit,
I need it to come back.
Well, that's kind of a little bit part of the learning for the subject as well, because you have got to try and work out the answer yourself sometimes, because that's what you'll do within the profession. You've got to find the answers to these things. And if we just keep saying, oh, the answer to that is this, or the answer is that, have you really learned from that? So
No, but sometimes you need, this is the
balance.
answer, and this is the steps that I got to arrive at the answer. And
Mm.
sometimes you need, these are the steps that you would need if you were going to arrive at the answer yourself. Have to go and see what answer you come to. And knowing the difference of when somebody needs a different approach is really good.
Yeah.
So since gaining your ICB qualifications, where have you headed? What have you done, and what are your plans for the future?
So I've done a lot more. So I do have a small bank of practice clients that I do done fee work, but I focused a lot more on training and development with business owners, especially business owners in creative industries. So having sellers that deal with cash basis accounting that can't necessarily afford to themselves. So I built a place where they could go to ask those questions, a membership that was safe for them to be able to explore their options, and I could train them to do it themselves at the level that they need when they're not looking for a fully practiced bookkeeper. So that has been growing over the past couple of years. I published my first book in August of last year that was on teaching cash basis accounting to people in
You
creative
really should have
industries.
that on your desk, and you should be kind of sliding it
I
into-
know. I was like, is it really right if I just like lift it up? It's lovely. It's pink.
Why not?
It's got my face on
it.
Such an incredibly proud moment for me, I have to say.
Oh, yeah.
And one that wouldn't have been possible had I have not started this journey. Yeah.
Super.
So that's a brilliant resource for people who are doing it for themselves, that don't need the level of in-depth knowledge that I would need doing it for a variety of different organisations. And I'm working a lot more, focused a lot more in the coming years on the training and development side of things, and moving into the confidence that people, like confidence issues that people have. You will not believe how often I hear, well, I don't know how to do it myself because I'm terrible with numbers. And it's not that people are terrible with numbers, it's that they didn't have a great teacher at school that didn't know how to teach them, that they didn't have a learning style that aligned with their learning style. So working a lot more on building confidence at the same time as making sure those real firm kind of financial foundations are in place with business owners is where I am headed.
Veronica, so how have you used your qualifications since you've gained them?
I finished my level 3 about a year and a half ago, maybe 2. So I started my own practice, and a bit like Julie as well, I love just being alongside the clients. In fact, as I said, I mentioned my son before, and I've just really enjoyed seeing his journey of starting his own company, helping him set it up, and just flourish, keep going. And he's doing so well. And I've been a teacher, piano teacher for 30 years, so I love that one-to-one contact. I love building people's confidence. I love helping them find their own way. And that's why bookkeeping really appeals to me, because that's what you do, is the day-to-day journey with the client more than the end of the year kind of thing, and helping them find their own way. So I've got now a few other clients, but I also do some subcontracting with my accountant. So I've got about 10 clients, but I really enjoy being part of their journey. I don't necessarily want 100 clients. I prefer the one-to-one and just seeing them grow. That's really what makes me feel that I'm making a difference.
We'll have to start promoting you two guys as there for helping people, promoting people, helping them with their development and what have you, because
I love that.
what you've said is absolutely right.
We've
experienced this many times, and some of the conversations we have with people on the phone, you think they just need it to have that right little bit of guidance to see it differently.
Yeah.
They're kind of bit blindfolded to the reality, because they've got this tunnel vision on how they've already, or their understanding that they've developed their life up to now. It's just about opening it up for them, isn't it? And saying, have you considered this? Have you considered that? Did you know you can do this? And it is, yeah. We'll have to set up a mentoring service with you two guys, I think.
I love mentoring.
Send me the hourly rate.
Okay, well, thank you very, very much, Julie. Thank you very, very much, Veronica. It's much appreciated.
Yeah,
thank you for joining us today. And
Thank you for having me.
just, I think now we've got we've got a special offer, haven't we?
Oh, da, 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 da.
So yeah, let me just share my screen again. Where are we? So yes, special offers. So at the moment, the ICB Level 2 certificate in bookkeeping is £570. The Level 3, £675, and a Level 2 and 3 combined is £960. But if you use today's webinar code, you can save 15%. So Level 2 would come down to £484.50. Level 3, £573.75, and a 2 and 3 combined, £816. That's if you use the webinar discount code ICB webinar at the checkout. And that code will be valid until the close of play on the 31st, Friday the 31st of January. But we do actually have some extra things that we can bundle with these courses if you use the webinar discount code, and that is exam kits. So yeah, Gary.
An old concept turned into something better. We were talking earlier about, and we mentioned several times, about all the additional resources that we have online. But we've also identified that people do actually learn better from books. So a lot of this stuff has now been pulled in, tidied up, so to speak, and brought into a product. So now we've said, okay, right, we now have a printed question bank. So you've actually got your questions and answers all within a single book. So you can make your notes, you can answer the questions, you can self-mark. But you've also got a mock exam inside that extra book as well. And on top of that, you also get an extra online mock exam with a tutor to feedback. It's all part of this examination preparation process, if you like, where working with tutors is the way to do it. We can teach you all the way through here, but then it's just testing and making sure that you're ready for that next step, which is to take the exam. These have actually only they've been finalized right now, but we obviously, what we're going to do is within that, for this month, we're going to give the 15% discount, but we're also going to give you these as well, free of charge. So you know, there's going to get an extra book for everything, which is your question banks. You get the extra mock exams. You're going to get the tutor engagement anyway. Now, the pricing for those is normally going to be £45 a unit, obviously, because we've now got costs involved with printing and logistics. So for level 2, you get an extra value there of £135. For level 3, an extra value of 180. Obviously, if you combine them, it's more saving. And these will be also run through for payroll and the level 3 payroll and all of those level 4 units that Peter was talking about earlier on. So yeah, if you enroll now, you get the 15% discount, and you also get this extra value free of charge.
So make sure you use the code ICB webinar for that. Okay, so now let's have a look at. I haven't looked to see whether or not we've got any questions. Let's have a quick look, shall we? So we've got a couple of questions. Susie, yes, don't worry. We intend to make a recording of the webinar available shortly afterwards. Heidi, can the 15% include, will that be included in the self-employment package?
Absolutely, yes.
The 15% will, the discount code will work.
And the free exam
self-employed. Yes, it will work against that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not sure, have we got any other questions at all? Can't see anything else coming in. I think that's probably...
That's actually quite amazing. You must have done really well, because...
Must have done. We had lots and lots of questions.
Normally you've got 20 or 30 questions there on the amount of attendees that we've got today. So we must have done a really good job of it today, because we must have answered questions before anyone asked them.
Hopefully, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yes, I'll just flash up that discount code up just one last time before we end today's webinar. So, yes, make a note of it, ICB webinar, and that code won't be available on the website itself. So please make a note of it. We're not sharing it beyond the list of attendees today. So yeah, if you use that before the 31st, you get 15% off, and also the free exam kits that Gary mentioned as well. Okay, right. Well, I'd just like to say thank you very much to everyone today. Thank you very much, Peter.
A pleasure.
Thank you very much. And thank you very much to Veronica and Julie as well. It was great to talk to you all today.
Yeah.
And if there are any questions at all, please contact Training Link. Just give the contact form or student services at training-link.co.uk. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye now.